All right, we will get things going. All right, well, thank you everybody for joining us today. We are really excited. We had a really awesome week. We announced our endorsements for Win the Era. And so now we've got our regular call and have some special guests today. Before I kick it over to Mayor, I'm Marcus Schweitzer. I'm the Executive Director of our Win the Era effort. Excited about our call and the special guests that we have joining us. So with that, I'll kick it over to Mayor Pete.
All right. Well, first of all, I want to thank Marcus and the whole team of Win the Era for a ton of work that has brought us to this week, which I've been looking forward to for quite a while. We knew that a big part of what I could do and our community of supporters could do in the days and weeks after we wrapped up our campaign was to make sure that we're supporting candidates across the country. As you know, I am all in for Joe Biden, and we've got to make sure that he gets elected our next president. But we've also got to make sure we're never caught treating the presidency like the only office that matters. Something we talked about a lot during my campaign, and something I strongly believe in. And so over the last weeks, with your help, we've been identifying a number of candidates that we want to support. And this week, we were able to officially roll out our first wave of endorsements. 22 extremely deserving candidates that I'm really excited about us putting our weight behind. And especially cool is that this evening we're going to have a couple of them with us, and they're going to participate in the conversation. So I will save them for last, but I want to quickly walk you through take a moment to walk you through each of the candidates that we're supporting and why. Before I get into that, let me remind you some of the values and the qualities that we were looking for. Generational energy, candidates who either themselves represent a new generation of leadership, or through their leadership demonstrate that they care about the long term and are helping support a new generation of Americans and future generations. We're looking for candidates who really embodied that sense of belonging that we talked about all the time in the Pete for America campaign, and represent an opportunity to build a greater sense of belonging, especially for those who have been left out either of our politics or our policies. We're especially attracted to what I call pioneering candidates, people who cut against the grain a little bit, maybe are a first in the city or the district or the constituency that they are serving to be elected, to come from their background. Candidates who embody the rules of the road that are so important to all of us, and who reflect that in different ways in their own campaigns. The other thing you'll see is that some of these are names that if you're even a little bit involved in Democratic politics, you've probably been hearing quite a bit about. Some of them are names that you probably haven't heard much about, and those are some of my favorite to introduce to you because, again, I know that this community of supporters is such a powerful group of people and can lift up deserving people who I think are going to be important figures in American politics for years and decades to come. Of course, we weren't able to support every deserving candidate, but these 22 candidates taken together, I think, help demonstrate what we're all about. And so I'm very proud to share this first wave of endorsements with you. So we can't do a drum roll exactly, but with great excitement, let me take you through the names. First of all, Gina Ortiz-Jones. She's in a critical U.S. House district in the state of Texas. I think that she ran such a great race last time that it scared the incumbent, Will Hurd, out of the race. So now it's an open seat. And we have an opportunity for a key pickup with somebody who is pioneering and with a record of military service, exactly the kind of generational leader that we need more of in the U.S. House. Josh Shapiro, who I just spoke to today, the Attorney General of Pennsylvania. You know, right now, attorneys general are a great example of how state, sometimes down-ticket state offices are playing a really important role in holding this administration accountable, protecting healthcare, supporting the rule of law, and making sure our democracy is protected. Sandra Jauregui, a member of the phenomenal Nevada State Assembly, a majority women legislative body that has been just cranking out wonderful legislation. We've got to make sure that we return people like Sandra to their seats in the upcoming election. Michelle De La Isla, a fellow mayor. She's the mayor of Topeka, Kansas, and stepping up to run for U.S. House. You know, Kansas has been surprising America by getting, I think, reconnected with a more progressive tradition. And I think that she's going to be in a position to do that. Plus, always a good thing when we have more mayors, as far as I'm concerned, in more positions of responsibility. Speaking of mayors, LeVar Stoney, the mayor of Richmond, Virginia, with a very exciting administration and doing really important work to protect his constituents. Also, an example of a generational leader who I think is going to be with us for and making a big difference for years and decades to come, and a friend that I'm really proud to back. Andy Custer, who you may remember if you were involved at all in our New Hampshire campaign, a highly effective, decent, smart, compassionate member of Congress who I think it's very important for us to put our weight behind. J.A. Moore, who was one of our strongest supporters in South Carolina, really came to politics largely by way of tragedy. His sister, one of those who lost their lives in the Mother Emanuel shooting, and has turned that tragedy into being a powerful voice, not just on issues around gun violence, but economic empowerment, lifting up the Black community in Charleston and in his area of South Carolina, and someone who I think will be someone to watch for a very long time. Lamont Robinson, who made history as the first LGBT out Black representative elected to an assembly seat in the state of Illinois, making a big difference in his hometown of Chicago, and somebody who, again, I think in the years to come will be someone to watch. I'm proud to support him. Speaking of state legislators opening doors, Malcolm Kenyatta in Pennsylvania. The president just today reminded us by visiting how important Pennsylvania is, and Malcolm is a part of a whole caucus of people doing wonderful work in the Pennsylvania House. We need to add to their numbers, and he's going to be a leader who helps us do it. Sharice Davids, running in Kansas. She, I think, turned a lot of heads when she won the very competitive House seat in Kansas last year. She's one of a group called the Frontline Freshmen, members of Congress who have flipped districts, who are going to be a very important part of keeping the House in Democratic hands, and who have a style about them that I think helps reach across the aisle and bring more voters to our side in the same way that we tried to do in our campaign. The same is true of Lauren Underwood, who I was proud to campaign for in 2018. She is in a very competitive Illinois district. She's got a nursing and public health background, could not be more relevant to the moment that we're in right now. Yvonne Lewis Hawley, one of several candidates we're backing in North Carolina. North Carolina is a really exciting state to watch, a place that was written off as a red state in the past. But if you look at the dynamics that are going on there, so much potential and so much on the line, and so much to be gained by seeing her elected as lieutenant governor in an increasingly purple state. Jamie Harrison in South Carolina. I don't think I need to say much more than that he is running to retire Lindsey Graham from the United States Senate. But also, Jamie is a terrific candidate. I think we would all be excited, no matter what, to make sure that we sent that message with Lindsey Graham. But Jamie Harrison is somebody who I got to know when we were both running for DNC chair. He was the state party chair of South Carolina, and brings a level of intellect and energy that will make him a phenomenal U.S. senator. Don Beyer, who is a great friend to our campaign and is a great voice on issues from national security to integrity and oversight in government in the U.S. House, coming from Virginia. Proud to support him. Roy Cooper, the governor of North Carolina, again, really changed what people thought was possible, I think, when he took that seat. Had a great conversation with him the other day. Now we've got to make sure that we re-elect him and send a powerful message, as well as making sure that there continues to be a strong state legislature, which is why we're backing Sidney Batch, one of many deserving candidates in the North Carolina State House. Cal Cunningham is running for Senate in North Carolina, a military veteran, Army reservist, service-oriented person who will be a real credit to the state, and somebody that I think in many ways really rhymes with the values and the spirit of our campaign, and proud to support him. Lucy McBath in the highly watched Georgia 6th District, one of the most dynamic, but also one of the most vulnerable freshman members of Congress of color, and somebody that I think we've got to rally behind to make sure that she can continue to bring her unique voice as a cancer survivor and gun violence survivor, and a very effective first-term legislator. Kate Schroeder in the Cincinnati area, running for U.S. House with a Midwestern, very commonsensical approach, but also a deep background in healthcare advocacy that's going to make her election more timely than ever. And Anthony Brown, who is a member of the U.S. House from Maryland, an Army veteran, somebody with an intellect for thinking about the future of security in this country, and deeply involved in keeping this country safe. Somebody I'm really glad to back. So hopefully that gives you a sense of the range of the candidates. Again, we couldn't support in this first round everybody who's deserving, but we've got just a wonderful cream of the crop back a round of candidates to support. And now I need your help to make sure that we're here for them. Now, you may notice there were two names that are on the list, if you're following closely, that I didn't mention. And that's because I'm very excited that they're here with us right now. They are two candidates who really embody my passionate belief in the power of local leadership. One is Christine Honchowski, mayor of Parkland, Florida, who's now running for state legislature there in Florida. The other, Jevin Hodge, running for Maricopa County office in Phoenix. And they are with us right now. Nobody better to introduce them to you than themselves. So I'm going to invite each of them to say a little bit about what motivated them to run. And let's start with Mayor Honchowski coming to us from Parkland.
Thank you so much. And first of all, I'm so honored to have received this endorsement. It means the world to me. Your campaign just embodied bringing humanity back into politics. And I think we see now that it's needed more than ever. I've been the mayor of Parkland for a few years now. My friend was actually our state rep. And unfortunately, a few weeks ago, she succumbed to her 3-year battle with cancer. And before she passed, she had asked me if I would consider running for her seat. And I love being on the local level here in Florida, though we get preempted a lot on the local level. And so I'm running for the seat now to bring some of these local voices up to Tallahassee. Before COVID-19, people kind of thought everything was fine. And I think COVID-19 has really exposed a lot of the cracks that have always been there that maybe not everybody was experiencing for themselves. So while we're in this crisis mode and navigating, bringing everybody through this crisis as well and as healthy as possible, it's also now an opportunity to gather people around these common human issues that we're all dealing with, and really gather a group together to make a difference. In Florida, we've had issues with our unemployment system. It's a measly $275 a week. And now we have people who for weeks now, they applied and they can't get their what's due to them on unemployment. We have water issues going on in our state. We have gun violence issues going on in our state. The interesting thing is COVID has shown us there are ways to solve problems if we put our heads together and really work toward them. Gun violence has been down. The air quality has been better. And so I'm going up there to hopefully bring a voice to a lot of the people in my community. Mental health, as you know, Pete, has been something that's been very important to me. I actually lost a friend to suicide a couple of weeks ago. And I think there are certain human issues that really are common to all of us that just really need to be elevated on a state level and bringing those stories to the state level. And I'm hoping I'll be able to do that. And that's why I'm running. And I really appreciate your campaign was wonderful. Your rules of the road, I think, were something that guided all of us, and I hope continues to guide everybody going forward, because the more we work together, the more we remember our common humanity, the more we realize that we're more connected than disconnected. I think the more we're going to get to some solutions that will benefit everybody, because it's investing in our country, it's investing in our people, and it's investing in our future.
Thanks so much. And I hope everybody watching sees now why I'm so excited about supporting Christine and her race, somebody who's clearly in it for the right reasons. And I'm especially moved to hear you talk about humanity and how that links in, because your experience in so many different ways of responding to loss, responding to tragedy, and responding to it in a way that's uplifting and moves us forward is so needed at a time like this, where we're seeing all of the chaos and division and cruelty and even more loss and fear of loss than usual. That can motivate the human heart in a lot of different directions. And folks who followed my campaign remember how I talked about how leadership really matters in terms of what it brings out of us. and I think you understand that so well. And from seeing the dynamic of cities and states, the tug of war sometimes with cities and states, and as you said, there's a lot of preemption, which is to say mayors being blocked, going on in Florida. It's going on in a lot of places. Texas, you may have seen the coverage where mayors trying to keep their communities safe are being blocked by their own governor. That's why we need state legislators who understand that all-important local perspective, and that's what you're going to bring to the State House. So I'm so excited to support you.
Thank you so much.
Let me turn now to Jevin Hodge, someone else I'm very excited to be supporting. He is running for county office in Maricopa County, which is one of the most populous in the United States. He represents a new generation of leadership, a passion for serving and supporting youth. Jevin, I'm going to turn it over to you to introduce a little bit about yourself, what motivated you to run, and how people can help.
Mr. Mayor, I have to say thank you so much for the opportunity. To the Win the Era team, you all have been absolutely incredible. Thank you. And Madam Mayor Christine, your leadership is much needed right now, and it's definitely a fortune to be here with you all today. Team Pete, I want to start by saying y'all have been absolutely incredible. The Happy Warriors, y'all have shown us so much love. Thank you so much. Those of you who were following us last night, we did the Pete Happy Dance. And so we released it on Twitter. Check it out at Jevin for AZ. We did it for you all. You all came out and showed us love. And so Team Hodge came out to give that love right back. And so I just have to say thank you first and foremost. My name is Jevin Hodge, and I'm running for the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors. It's an honor to be here with you all. So I'm gonna tell you a little bit about myself, tell you a little bit about the race, and then we'll get going from there. I'm a proud Arizona native, born and raised in the great state 48, home of Tempe, Arizona, which is home to Arizona State University. I'm the son of a single mom, my mother, Burdetta Hodge, an absolutely incredible woman, mind you. She's the first African-American woman elected in the city of Tempe and the president of the Tempe Union High School District Governing Board. So I've had the fortune of looking up to her my entire life. I am a George Washington graduate, and I'm a strategic communications and social impact consultant by day at Link Strategic Partners. A lot of my colleagues are here on the line with me today. And so we get to work with governments and nonprofits and communities around the country on how to solve problems. And I love what I do every day, and that's what I plan to bring to elected office. The Maricopa County Board of Supervisors. So Maricopa, you may remember Maricopa County from the horrible sheriff that we had for 22 years, Sheriff Joe Arpaio, who, and no need to talk about his record of inequity and harm to our communities, but Maricopa County was brought to light because of the disgusting policies that were put forth. We're the fourth largest county in the country with about 4.5 million people. And the county is governed by 5 people who manages a $2.5 billion budget. And so much like a county commission and a hybrid of a county executive, the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors has legislative and executive powers and handles every issue known to man under the sun, from environmental protections to infrastructure and zoning to public works, public parks, public corrections, public schools, public hospitals. And so when you talk about a position that is impacting the everyday life of the Arizonan, the Maricopa County is that office. Maricopa County Board of Supervisors is that office. And what we're planning to bring to the Board of Supervisors are 3 key pillars. Number 1 is being a true advocate for infrastructure. We're the fastest growing county in the country, so we need to make sure that we have the infrastructure needs that supports the county and supports our residents so we can have a happy, healthy place to grow, live, learn, and play. The next of which is well-being, which is broken down into 2 different buckets: educational well-being, investing in early childhood education. I'm the proud president of the Booker T. Washington Child Development Center, the longest running early childhood center in the state of Arizona. And so I understand the needs of educating young people on up, working with our K-12 schools and the Maricopa County community colleges, and economic well-being, making sure that we are supporting local businesses and organizations that want to provide jobs for Maricopa County residents. And then the last piece of this, I've branded this office as the most important office that most people have never heard of. They're making decisions about you in the dark. And so I plan to bring accountability to the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors, putting our work in the public space, making sure the residents of Maricopa County has an opportunity to have a voice in the democracy and the governing process. that's a little bit about me and the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors. I have to say it is an honor to be here with you all. I had the fortune of serving as the vice chairman of the Arizona Democratic Party, where I was the youngest statewide African-American Democratic official in the United States. That's where I got to learn about the amazing man, Mr. Mayor Pete himself. And it's just been an incredible adventure. And so I'm excited to be with you all today.
Thanks so much, Jevin. And I think everybody now has a feel for why we thought it would be so exciting to introduce you to our supporters. Look, not everybody thinks of county supervisor office as sexy. But as you've just explained, this is where decisions get made that affect people's lives. And I know that you're coming at this with a heart for service. I can also vouch for the impressive character of Miss Burdetta Hodge after you introduced me to your mom recently. And so I'm a big fan there. And we're so glad to be pulling for you. So now that I have a chance to introduce you, I know we got some questions teed up too. Let me kick it back to Marcus to moderate.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you. I think we have, again, if you have a question, we'll populate it in the question and answer box. But first up, we have Alex from Washington. Alex, there you go.
Hi, I'm Alex. And my question is, what qualities, in your opinion, does a good leader embody? And how do the people that you endorse live out those qualities in their service?
Great question, and that's the question that's really been on our minds and hearts. We've been looking for who to ask you to help mobilize behind. The first thing I would say, and I think you heard it in what both Jevin and Mayor Hunchofsky were saying, is leadership is not about the person seeking the office. It's about the people you're going to serve. It was a quality and an ethic that was drilled into me in the form of the simple custom among military officers that when you're an officer among those that you're leading, the custom is that when it's time to get food, the officer eats last. It's a little reminder that the leader is there to support those who they would lead rather than the other way around. And I think that spirit, the fact that just now when both of them were speaking, they were talking not much about themselves, much more about the impact that they could have and those they could help. That's something we're really looking for. Another is having a sense of what an office is for. Running for an office not because of the title, not because of the prestige that comes with it, but because of the effect that holding that office can have. Seeing the difference that it would make for them and not somebody else to have that role. And that's a quality that shines through, I think, in all of the 22 endorsed candidates that we've announced our support for. Some of them have had a chance to demonstrate it in office. Those who are up for re-election or for a new office. Others as they approach office for the first time. Another quality that I think is really important is the ability to establish that sense of belonging that we care about so much. And that's an intangible quality that you see just radiate through in the character of the campaigns. And it's something that we're on the lookout for. And will continue to be as we start sourcing toward future candidates and campaigns to support too. So when Team Pete, when you see that quality out there, you know it when you see it, as you do in these endorsees. And I hope you'll continue to let us know about people you were excited on that front. Thanks for a great question, Alex.
Great. Next up, I think we have Gayatri from New Jersey.
Hi, Mayor Pete. I'm Gayatri, a college student from New Jersey, and I really love volunteering and donating to your campaign. So my question is, what are effective ways to digitally organize to support these candidates you endorsed?
Great question, and thanks for your support for us and your enthusiasm. And I'll invite Christine and Jevin both to say a word about what would make the biggest difference for them. But let me share some things that are important across the board. Of course, candidates need financial support, but that's just one thing that we can do. Another is to help them get their name out there. So when you talk about digital organizing, I would break it down into two categories. One is what I'm going to call broadcast. In other words, when you tweet, when you put out an Instagram post, when you blast something out into the world for everybody to see, it's a way to just stick up your hand. It's the equivalent of, for now at least, it's the equivalent of having that yard sign or bumper sticker or being there to just let the world know that you support a candidate. The other is a little more customized and tailored, and that's to reach out to people in your life to ask them to get involved, whether they could be contributing as donors, whether maybe they live or vote or have people in their family or social circles who do in the city or the district or the jurisdiction where somebody's running. Making sure that they hear from you why you're excited about these candidates. That's the most powerful way to get somebody's attention. It's one thing for them to see an ad. It's another for them to hear someone that they know to say, this is why I'm supporting this candidate. I know that you and I probably both share the instinct that we'd love to be walking through the doors of the campaign office for these candidates right now. And obviously we're all constrained and held back from a lot of the best parts of in-person campaigning. That doesn't mean that we're stuck on the sidelines. It just means we've got to be creative. And it'll vary by campaign. Some may be doing virtual phone banks, text banks, or other ways of reaching voters too. And so let me invite Jevin and Christine both briefly to say a word about things that people can do digitally right now that might make a difference.
Pete is spot on as always. And there's that relational organizing aspect that you can also have digitally. So I know when candidates that I support talk about things that resonate with me, resonate with my friends. So every time Pete talked about mental health issues, I would lift up those positions that he had and share it with my friends and my networks and explain to why that's so important to us. These shared values that candidates have with the people you know, with the experiences your friends and neighbors have had, the more you can do to talk about the candidates and why their values are values you share and will make a difference in your lives. I think that's digitally a great thing that you can do for all of us.
Yep, that's exactly right. And I think the two things that I would add to that is understanding that in any campaign, the three things that are needed is time, talent, and treasure. And everyone understands the treasure, right? If you have an extra dollar to give, please encourage someone to donate and donate and give to these campaigns, our campaigns. Talent. Running a campaign is much like having a business. And so if you have a skill that you think that is valuable for a campaign, whether that's button making, leather, you have beautiful handwriting and you would like to help write letters, graphic design, some of the most simple skills that you may have acquired over time, find your favorite candidate and you can donate that time, because I can promise you that and donate that talent, which is going to equate the time, the most important aspect in the campaign. And if you have 5 minutes, ask your favorite candidate if you could do text one-to-one outreach, or if you can make phone calls, or invite folks to just simply like their page. Like Mayor Christine said, that relational organizing is the most important component. And the last thing I'll leave you with is something I leave with everyone. Invite or challenge 5 people to either register to vote or look up your favorite candidate. And that's how we spread that message and continue to challenge folks, either challenge them to vote, or if you have an early vote system, sign up for the early vote system of your respective state and invite them to like or read some information or watch a video of your favorite candidate. Do that every day, challenge 5 people, and that's how we spread the message.
Well said. And thanks, Gayatri, for the question, because we're all finding new ways to step up and make a difference. And I knew that you'd hear great answers there on concrete steps that we can take. Thank you.
We have time for one more question, and I think it's a good follow-up, actually. Somebody put it in the text box. So specifically for Mayor Henchofsky and Jevin, people want to know where to go to be most impactful to remotely volunteer. So if there's a website or certain thing that you want the folks here to do, let us know. And that was an anonymous question. So.
Since I have a very difficult last name, as Mayor Pete can attest to, my website's easy. It's christineforflorida.com. I'm also on Twitter and Facebook, and I love hearing from people. A lot of people like to private message. I always say that as candidates and as public servants, we can't know everything. So the feedback we get from individuals and the more individual experiences we hear, that's great. So I'm at christineforflorida.com. Jevin?
Yes, and please sign up to volunteer. Mayor Christine is incredible. We need her in the Florida State House. For me, if you go to jevinhodge.com, JEVINHODGE.com, and you click on Join the Movement tab, you can sign up right there to volunteer and receive our updates. And if you're a social media person, like us on Facebook at Jevin4Arizona, or Twitter, where we just released the High Hope Stance at Jevin4AZ. Reach out to us. I or the Hodge team is very responsive, so we respond to every message. And if you're an email person, info@jevinhodge.com, and we'll be sure to get you involved. Thank you for asking that question.
Great. And Mayor, we'll kick it over to you to close us out. But thank you, everybody, for joining us.
All right. Well, a big thank you to everybody who's on the call right now. And thanks again for joining us, Christine and Jevin, who are going to continue to be, I think, great leaders in the years to come, which is why we've got to do everything we can to make sure that they're successful in this election. Take some time to check out wintheera.com. There will be links to the websites and a profile on each of the candidates that we're endorsing. Again, asking you to contribute whatever you can by way of time, talent, and treasure. I like that. I'm going to use that to help each of those candidates, as well as giving us ideas for causes and people you think are important for us to continue looking at as an organization. This whole effort is fueled by you, by your continued commitment to the values that animated the Pete for America campaign and that bring us together through this election cycle and in the years to come. It's never been more important. We're being reminded of it every day. And as beaten down as I know we feel sometimes by just a torrent of bad news and failed leadership, this is our chance to really feel good about what we're doing, because we get this right. We make sure that we send and/or return these remarkable public servants to office. We are going to be so proud of what we did when we look back at 2020 and start truly winning the era for what we believe in. So thank you for your commitment. Thank you for your energy. Thank you for your support. And again, Marcus, thanks to you and the team for a big push that made it possible for us to have this big news this week.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a good rest of your day.